Hello, my name is John Christian Prieto, and this is my final requirement for server administration. Task 1 is setting up your lab environment. I haven't faced any issue here because I am familiar with installing VirtualBox during database subject when we use Linux. But in this activity, I learned how to tweak the settings of your virtual machine, such as setting up the RAM, setting up the virtual storage, and changing the CPU core for your virtual machine. Task 2 is download and installing Windows Server 2016. I haven't faced any issue here whatsoever because the guide was detailed enough to answer my question during this activity. This task helped me realize that you should know how many users are using the server because there are different kinds of Windows Server operating system and it caters to different kind of organization. Task 3 is configure Windows Server 2016. The only issue I've encountered is that I was stuck in full screen for a long period of time because I don't know what is host F. But when I look it up on Google, host F is right control F. And I learned how to add roles for the server, rename the computer, and proper naming convention for the system. Task 4 is Windows 10 installation. Installing Windows 10 is smooth sailing. There are no issue during this activity, but there's small inconvenience such as the installation process is too long. I learned how to where to download Windows 10 and how to install it in your virtual machine. Task 5. Joining Windows 10 computer to the domain. This activity took me forever because we don't know how to edit the domain name. The tutorial that we are following name it differently than the required main. So in the activity, so we have to install the domain role for 4 hours at this task, and the reason it is too long because I was being cheap with the RAM usage and the CPU usage at that time. I learned how to join Windows 10 to my Windows server, and also I learned how to create user account in an organizational unit. Task 6. Installing RSAT and create user account. The problem I face in this activity is that I tried to add organizational unit in a non-admin user. That made me confused for a while, but the solution is I change the account to the server admin, then it works. This activity, I learned how to make an organizational group and restrict user within the specific time range. Task 7. DHCP scope and DHCP reservation. The problems I've encountered in this activity is that it keeps saying that the reservation is inactive. The solution that I've come up is to make the IP address static, then set it up to automatic, then I go to the CMD, IP config release, then renew, then suddenly the reservation is active. This activity I learned how to create a DHCP scope and authorizing it. Task 8, the problems I've encountered here is that I can't find the location of the map alias. The solution that I've come up is that is the solution I've come up is mm, you should first, after you create the alias, you you make a folder, right click to the properties, then click sharing, then share it, then copy the file path, then go to the map map share folder, then paste the file location. In this task, I learned how to manually create a DNS host record, create a DNS alias for file sharing purposes, navigate to group policy management console, and GPU restriction to a certain software. Task 9 is backup recovery, installing Windows backup feature, perform a backup. I cannot back up my Windows because my local DC is full and I cannot, and my other classmate says that the backup and the minimum requirement for backup is 20 gig, and my local DC is only 6 gig, and I cannot do it, so I stop here. So that's it for today, and thank you for watching.